welcome. We are back. This is Potato General Manager. CPGM.com is the website. Free agency frenzy. A lot going on. Not just free agency, trades. Wow. We've seen some trades involved, man. Let's start off with the big one. Odell Beckham traded to the Cleveland Browns for a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and Jabril Peppers, man. Thoughts?
David Gettleman, you've failed as a GM, and I don't think you've got enough, bro. I think that if I'm a Giants fan, I'm wondering what the hell are we doing right now with my team. But before that trade, you went out and you got a Zeitler. Okay, we shored up this offensive line. We got Saquon in the backfield. We're gonna roll with Eli. Looks that way, right? We got Odell. We got the weapons. We need a little work on defense, but we get in there, and then you trade the best player on your football team. Is he the best player on the football team, or is it Saquon?
It's close.
It's close?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you traded one of the best top two player on your team, and in my opinion, you just didn't get enough.
I guess it's buyer's remorse, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what else to say about it. I mean, I personally thought that the Zeitler-Vernon trade made sense. It made sense. Certainly, you know, I think Vernon still has a lot to offer. The Browns certainly do. It addressed the need or helped bolster their pass rush and their front seven in general.
Yep.
And then, of course, bringing in Zeitler, a guy who's performing incredibly well, particularly at protecting the passer over the course of his career. You bring him in to help stabilize, continue to round out that offensive line in New York. It makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
You know, this particular move, is this a full rebuild? It would seem that way, but then again, you have Eli still at the controls. So my thought process is, based on what they've netted in terms of these trades, my thought process is, okay, you got to be drafting a quarterback. We thought they were heading in that direction anyway. Yeah. Now you have an additional pick. You could probably add a receiver if you feel so inclined, or what's more likely is that they address the defensive line. You know what I mean? Go and try to find whatever the best pass rusher available. You know, based on the way the board is falling, they may end up going pass rusher if they really love a guy before they go quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward, but certainly that's a big one. What are you anticipating from the offense?
It's Saquon or bust right now, man. And Gettleman, throughout his history, he believes in big guys. He believes in the trenches, and he wants to run the football. So, you know, he got Zeitler. I know he's a better pass protector, but, you know, he can help in the run game. You added Nate Solder. You added Will Hernandez. I think they're going to add more offensive linemen, and they're going to run the football. That's what I think. They're going to draft a young quarterback, room behind Eli Manning, and run the football this season.
They don't really have a choice, so yeah, that sounds like option number one.
Yeah. As for Cleveland, what do you think about this collection of talent that Cleveland is amassing?
Hey, if I would have said last year at the beginning of the year that Cleveland Browns would end up with Kareem Hunt and Odell Beckham, no one would believe that, man. And they got Kareem Hunt for the low, and we know why they got him for the low.
Sure.
But he's to me, one of the top 5 best running backs in the league. And then you add Odell Beckham, one of the top 3 receivers in the league. It's just fireworks, man. He's reunited with Juice Landry in the slot. I know they're going to be having some dance-offs, some dance parties in the end zone. Wow. And then you got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, man. Baker Mayfield, John Dorsey has solidified and gave Baker Mayfield all these weapons. This is what young quarterbacks need, man. I know they traded Zeitler. They plan to put Austin Corbett in as guard. We'll see how that goes. But the biggest weakness right now on the offense is the tackles, and they could address that in the draft.
Can I ask you a question? How does Jabril Peppers feel right now?
Sick?
I don't know. Maybe. You know, there was a lot of talk about Peppers, obviously, when he was selected. You know, what is he? Does he have a position? This, that, and the other. He struggled initially, and he blossomed. I thought he was terrific this past season. Yeah. You know, so you mentioned Peppers. He now fills that role vacated by Landon Collins, which again, you know, I think we all agree that the haul that they got for OBJ was a little light. Yeah. But I really like the player, and certainly, you know, we'll see what they do with the draft picks, with the draft compensation that they got. The Patriots obviously haven't been very busy in terms of free agency, but they did make one move, and that's bringing in Michael Bennett from the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think about the trade?
You know, I heard Chris Sims and Mike Fleury talking about Michael Bennett, and they don't think, well, Chris Sims doesn't think that Michael Bennett will be as effective of a pass rusher because of the scheme that he's going to be playing in New England, where they want you to do what they want you to do because they're worried about the red piece over here, the blue piece over here, the green piece over here. And, you know, it can't just be just go get the quarterback. Because over there with the Eagles, it was
meet at the quarterback.
Meet at the quarterback.
Right.
New England, it's I need this piece to do this piece to do that, this piece to do that, so this happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a little bit more intricacies to it, I guess you want to call it. So, you know, I don't know how effective he's going to be, but he's still a hell of a football player, period. So, you know, he's going to do what he's asked to do. And, you know, New England is good at putting players in the best position to succeed. So maybe they build it around him this time. Who knows?
The Jets obviously have been busy in free agency, but they also made a trade with the Oakland Raiders, who we'll get to in a second here. And they're bringing in Kelechi Osemele to replace James Carpenter. He's dealt with some injuries here lately. Haven't necessarily played great football over the last year and a half or so. But Osemele, you know, at one point was one of the, you know, better guards in this league, and I think he still has good football in front of him left in the tank. Bringing him in by just swapping out a 5th and a 6th round pick with the Raiders seems like, you know, stealing candy from a baby. But of course, we'll get to what the Raiders have in mind in just a second. What do you think about the addition of Osemele?
I mean, he's been one of the better guards in the league, you know. But like you said, he's been injured, so the assumption is you're getting the player that you think that he was a couple years ago, and again, you know, we've added a left bell, and we want to protect our quarterback. So I mean, why not? If we're talking just swapping picks and it takes cap away from, you know, the reason why it was an easy thing to do is because it's $10 million, you're just got the money, we can afford to do this.
Sure, they can absorb that.
And the Raiders need a little cap relief. Why not? Let's swap it up, let's get it done. So I mean, that's easy peasy.
Yeah, man, it goes with putting more pieces around Sam Darnold, and it's a definite upgrade over James Carpenter, who they lost to the Atlanta Falcons.
Next up, we have the Oakland Raiders. They brought in LaMarcus Joyner, traded away Kelechi Osemele. They spent big, making Trent Brown the highest paid offensive tackle in the history of the game. But they also acquired, more importantly, I shouldn't say more importantly, but certainly the headline is them acquiring Antonio Brown from the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 3rd and 5th round pick, and then also giving him a raise. What's your thought process in terms of what the Raiders have done throughout the offseason thus far?
It's called larceny, thievery. They stole Antonio Brown from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh, I guess they didn't have much leverage in that situation. They already shook on it. Art Rooney, or whatever Rooney you are, I'm out. So they traded him for a 3rd and 5th round pick. That's a drop in the bucket for the Oakland Raiders. They get a dynamic receiver after losing Amari Cooper the season before. Derek Carr gets a guy that, you know, I had question marks about the offensive line. They brought in Trent Brown to pair with Colton Miller. Maybe Colton Miller goes to the right side, and put Trent Brown on the left side. Just free up some time for Derek Carr. Because that was the biggest issue in Oakland on the offensive side of the football, was just not enough time for Derek Carr to throw the football. But now he has better tackles, a better tackle in place, and a receiver that could take it short and go long. So it just helps Derek Carr, if he's the quarterback for the Oakland Raiders, to start the regular season. We're not sure. Maybe Gruden may make some more moves. I
know a lot of people are out of Pittsburgh. You know, they have mixed feelings. Obviously, you know, a lot of folks have moved on from Lev Bell. The trade of Antonio Brown, I think that the real issue is not necessarily moving on from Antonio Brown for some folks. Some folks have an issue with that. But I think that the issue that everyone seems to have is the fact that they didn't get necessarily great compensation for him. You mentioned it before, their hands were kind of forced. They weren't necessarily operating from a position of power. The owner decided to do Antonio Brown a favor, felt it was in the best interest of the organization to move him out of there. They were able to get a 3rd and 5th round pick. Here's where I come out on the Steelers. You know, you saw some flashes from James Conner. You know, Juju Smith is you know, he's already a star. You understand what I'm saying? We'll see exactly, you know, how he handles being the undisputed number 1. You know, the James Washington, we think he's more than just a straight line deep threat. I think he has some more ability, can certainly help out in the passing game. I think with all this happening, the Pittsburgh Steelers have to get back to playing excellent defense. I think they have to. And I don't know that signing a guy like Steve Nelson necessarily goes a long way towards that. Now, he can be a piece. He can be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
You know, assuming you're getting off the edge, you're screaming off the edge, you're controlling the line of scrimmage. But in order for Pittsburgh to compete with this new Cleveland juggernaut that's being developed in Cleveland, they're gonna have to play sound, and not just sound, but excellent defense. All the breakdowns and coverage and the blown assignments, that has to go away. If a guy beats you, a guy that lines up across from you beats you because he made a great play, or you know what I'm saying, he just won that particular rep, that's one thing. But the things that you can control in terms of communication, in terms of guys being where they're supposed to be, that can no longer be an issue. And if you're of the mindset that Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell were distractions, they're no longer there. Yeah. They're no longer there. So Heather, I'm just going to turn it to you real quick just to get your thought process, your thoughts on it. What do you think about the compensation package that they got for Brown? And then ultimately, what does Pittsburgh have to do to be successful?
Well, the compensation package, no bueno, not good.
Okay.
There's no more scapegoats right now. Antonio Brown's gone, Le'Veon Bell's gone, and you got Big Ben. And Big Ben's there. They came out and said the team needs to listen to Big Ben. Like, you know, Big Ben walks around like he's the GM. He's the coach out there. And it's interesting to see how does Tomlin get this locker room back. It's a crazy situation in Pittsburgh, man. And you talked about the defensive side of the football. I just don't think they have enough horses on the defensive side of football. There's a lot of holes on defense. I don't think they're going to play that championship defense. So it's going to be on Ben. It's going to be on Ben. You can't blame AB for not running the right routes. I heard AB said, yeah, Ben told me, oh, I didn't run the right route. But you threw it to the defensive lineman. How is that AB not running the good route? You threw it to the defensive lineman. So you can't blame AB on his routes. You can't blame Le'Veon Bell. It's all on you. I do like James Conner, Jalen Samuels, that backfield. But, hey, man, it's on you.
I'm not saying that Pittsburgh's going to play that lights out defense this year. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that for them to be successful moving forward, they're going to have to be. That's historically that's been the calling card. You know, the killer bees was this offensive outburst. Yeah. That's where we got this offensive outburst. There's no killer bees no more, like you said. It's on Big Ben now.
Yeah, and they have the numbers on Juju Smith when Antonio Brown's missing. It's not as good because Antonio Brown's taking all the coverage away from you. So you're not a number one receiver
until you're a number one. Until you're a number one, he has to prove that he's a number one. He's still a young player. All right, next up is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Deshaun Jackson trade. Deshaun Jackson's back in Philadelphia. Gives Philadelphia that deep threat that they've been missing. I know they tried Mike Wallace there. He got hurt. So he could free up a lot more things for the Zach Ertz, the Nelson Aguilars of the world. I do like the trade to acquire Deshaun Jackson.
Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers. And they traded a second-round pick in 2020 for Dee Ford and gave him a 5-year, $90 million extension. That's a lot of coin. That's certainly a lot of coin, but the 49ers have a desperate need in terms of pass rusher. I think outside, if you pay less attention to the dollar figures, because the 49ers certainly had plenty of caps. What they gave up in order to acquire him, I think, is pretty damn good. I think it's pretty damn good, all things considered. The detractors might feel like they didn't do enough in terms of bringing in Earl Thomas or a receiver, a true number one.
Yeah, as far as Dee Ford, the trade, I like the trade for the San Francisco 49ers. We talked about it in the offseason preview that they only had 2 interceptions last season. 35 touchdowns allowed, only 2 interceptions. They need turnovers. And Dee Ford comes screaming off the edge. Interested to see what defense they play, 3-4, 4-3, what they're going to do with Solomon Thomas. It's just a lot of moving parts right now for the San Francisco 49ers, but I know one thing, that Dee Ford can rush the quarterback. Whether it's handing the ground or standing up, he can get after the quarterback.
All right, well, that's going to do it. Like, comment, and subscribe.